The WNBA CBA negotiations are getting spooky.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm Kalia Butler. Joined alongside me is Sophia Jones. Happy Halloween, everyone. We're not dressed up, but it's still the Halloween spirit. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Now, if you joined us yesterday or a couple of days ago now, we spoke about the WNBA and the WNPBA not reaching an agreement, which was supposed to be made today about the CBA negotiations. The league offered a 30-day extension in which the players were either going to agree to or not, and it turns out that they did agree to this 30-day extension. So now CBA negotiations have a new deadline of November 30th. There's been some resurfacing quotes from Napheesa Collier, who's obviously kind of taken the lead as being the face of these negotiations. And she said, "We are being so grossly almost taken advantage of, and it should be illegal." She clearly has not been happy with anything that has gone on within these chats, and it doesn't seem like it's getting significantly better. And at this point, it just kind of seems like they're postponing what seems to be an inevitable progress towards an agreement that still isn't made.
Exactly. And you talk about just first with Napheesa Collier being a little bit of the face of these negotiations. And it's important, I think, to bring up again that her grandfather helped to negotiate the independence of Sierra Leone from Great Britain. So this is in her blood to get these kinds of discourses done. But yeah, just like you said, both sides are pretty strict on what they want and what they're envisioning. The main thing that neither side is really budging on is those salaries. The WNBA Players Association wants player salaries linked to percentage of revenue generated by the league, while the league wants a fixed salary cap and additional uncapped revenue sharing, but only if the league revenue exceeds certain targets. That's where both sides are at. And like again, to put this all into perspective, the current CBA model has a 3% yearly increase, which equates to right up a little bit more than $6,000. And when you're looking at the trajectory and the growth and the revenue that the WNBA is bringing in currently, that fixed rate and $6,000 doesn't necessarily equate to the growth and just the overall percentage that we're seeing.
Yeah, when you look at it, $6,000 is kind of like a slap on the wrist almost. Where are people going to appreciate $6,000? Sure, but when you're a professional in a growing league, it's not going to be acceptable to them. But it's not just about money. And I think that's another key focus. We've obviously gone into depth about it. And that is something that players are firm on, which they should be. But they also care about facilities, which has been key for some teams. We see teams like the Aces that have outstanding facilities. Coming from a Chicago Sky perspective, they are practicing in a rec center in a suburb where basically anyone can just walk in and out. Yeah, they have their own little section, but they're sharing locker rooms. It's basically locker rooms to the public. They just go upstairs. There's no separation between team and somebody that just walks in there and wants to go on the laps or something or play some pickleball, which is okay for them to do, but a professional basketball team should not also be there. So making sure that there is a minimum professional standard in facilities and staffing is one. as well as charter flights. Obviously, this has been something that has grown and has been introduced beginning of the 2024 season, but maintaining that level of consistency. Obviously, we are seeing some expansion teams, so making sure this is something that all these teams have access to, as well as expanding retirement and pregnancy/family planning benefits have also been at the forefront. 40 players met with the league ahead of All-Star Weekend in late July. And Brianna Stewart, who's the vice president of the WNBPA, said that those are the only 2 bullet points on both sides had agreed to at that time with these topics. So the main part of it obviously is going to be the financial. However, when we look at the bigger picture of certain things when it comes to facilities and making sure that these players have plans outside of just playing in the league, at least they can agree upon that.
Yeah, and I think that that was huge, especially with those charter flights. Simple things like that's now being widely adopted by the league. Every single team is having it, but they just want to have specific language and codify that into the CBA and
Mhm.
just, have extra protection and securities for these players. I think especially when you're looking at pregnancy and family planning, when you look at Cheyenne Parker Tyus, who was pregnant and came back for the playoffs, which was crazy after giving birth, but that's something that these women legitimately had to think of, so you want protections in place for that as well. But I think at least they agreed on those, so gotta give flowers there. But another important part of this extension agreement that I noticed was that as a condition for accepting this offer, the players union said that it requested a condition that allows it to terminate the extension with 48 hours notice. And so the condition is part of the deal, though the league also has the ability to terminate the extension within 48 hours notice as well. And I asked my legal counsel, which is my mother, because she's on a
Who's
contract
your
attorney.
legal team?
Not sponsored, but I asked my mother about it because she's used to negotiating with some of these contracts. And she said that this was an important contingency because essentially this allows the players to have a little bit more power, because if at any point they feel like the WNBA and the league is just dragging this process along and isn't really negotiating, sitting at the table, getting stuff done, they can send in that 48-hour notice to terminate the extension, which would then terminate the current CBA and then put pressure on the league to hopefully get something done within those 2 days.
Yeah, and that's incredibly important to have. And obviously, when we're looking at all of this stuff, these are all contracts at the end of the day, right? Uh, Anyone that has a contract, obviously now we deal with agents, anything of the sort. You always want a way to get out of the contract that you currently have. This is a way to do so and be like, actually, we don't agree with what's going on. Here's your 48-hour notice. We're not rocking with this. But I think the bigger thing at this point is, will they agree upon anything right now? Or are we facing a lockout for the 2026 season? And, we kind of mentioned it a little bit in our last podcast when we talked about this, but does this change how Unrivaled looks? Maybe not necessarily this season, but in future seasons. Obviously, they've kind of already made their stance on what Unrivaled is. It's going to be that 3v3, unless they throw changes at us. We don't know. But with the power that these players have, and obviously, Napheesa Collier also being vice president or co-founding that with Brianna, who are also the leaders for these negotiations, if they decide, hey, we're going to make Unrivaled the 5v5 and we're going to completely change the look of it, and actually we're not going to participate in the WNBA next season until we feel like we are getting something worth value because we are valuable players and why people are tuning in. There's still so much to it, but realistically, if they can't come to an agreement, which is looking a little concerning the closer we keep getting to these deadlines, we don't know what to expect next season.
We don't, and I would even throw in what Athletes Unlimited is doing as well when you look towards a 5-on-5 off-season league. They just brokered a new deal with ESPN that a lot of their games will be streamed. So that's huge, and that's bringing more eyeballs, which brings in more revenue. And so when these competitors of the WNBA, I guess, are gaining notoriety, it'll be important for WNBA to make sure that they are the standard league and they have that prioritization, which would, I think, is really going to come into effect in this CBA, which is why the players are so adamant about getting it right now because they see the growth of the league. They want something that's going to last.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you brought that up too, because I loved, because of course I reposted when I saw that happen, but they had Sydney Colson as like the face for it for Athletes Unlimited. And I was like, and you guys have Sydney Colson at the front, the queen of the WNBA. It's over with for everyone else. But when we come back after this, we'll talk about the Washington Mystics free agency, our last team we have to cover in free agency. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win. Not just one game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Okay, our spooky festivities for Halloween continue into disgusting. See, it's spooky in here. Discussing the Washington Mystics free agency. They were a really fun team to watch this season when we're talking about some of these teams that are constructing their rosters around a really young core, truly trying to develop a young core. I think this team is the epitome of that. When we're looking at some players under contract going into the 2026 season, you have Kiki Iriafen, Sonia Citron, Georgia Amor, JC Sheldon, and Lucy Olson. Alicia Clark is going to be an unrestricted free agent. She had gotten traded to them late in the season. Stephanie Dolson is also going to be unrestricted, as well as Jade Melbourne. So another team that, like many that we have spoke about, maybe will look pretty similar to the roster that they had this season. But Sophia, we've talked about it a little bit before. What do you love so much about the youth that is the Washington Mystics?
Just they have a lot of energy, and for how young all these players are and with the little time that they had to develop chemistry, I felt like they all played really well with each other on the court. I mean, even looking at those under contract players with Kiki, Sonia, Georgia, JC, and Lucy, that is an extremely strong young core. And we didn't even get to see Georgia Amor last season. She tore her ACL at the beginning, but I think she's going to come back better than ever. Went for the Mystics when there was maybe a little bit of lack of when they traded Brittany Sykes. They only had one true point, or they had their point guard Shug Sutton, and then also Jade Melbourne. But throwing Georgia Amor into that mix, I think is gonna help out so much. So hopefully she'll be ready to play next season. But of course, recovery, gotta prioritize that. But yeah, this was just a really fun team to watch. I think another person that I have my eye on would be Shakira Austin. She's going to be a restricted free agent, and I think it'll be very important for the Mystics to keep her. She's in right in that good little sweet spot group where she's not a rookie. She's 25, but she's been in the league for about 4 years, so she has that experience under her belt to kind of bridge that gap a little bit between the youth and the veterans, because you don't want too many and just have it be on opposite sides of the spectrum. But big fan of Shakira Austin's game, the way she moves, how she's able to create for herself and for others in the paint. I think that she is on a really strong trajectory for her career as well. But I would say biggest thing for this group to try to get in the off season is you want to make sure that you have those veterans on the team. Doesn't need to be too many, but you want to have them to mentor that young group while still allowing them to grow. So not necessarily a veteran that is going to take all the shots and be the primary ball handler or whatever, but someone that can just be a mentor. I think Alicia Clark was a great person for that. So if they can keep her, she's a really special person. I remember Kate Martin told us at the beginning of the season, Kate Martin was teammates with Alicia Clark in Vegas, but she said that if she would recommend anyone in the league to watch, it would be Alicia Clark because the amount of prep that she puts into her work, how she watches film, her IQ is just off the charts. And for those like habit builders, I think it's especially important to have around a young group.
Yeah, I really like seeing Alicia Clark come to this team. I think she's the perfect auntie, if you will, to step in and have that veteran leadership. And a lot of that is down to the preparation that you just mentioned. She watches a ton of film, she knows the personnel, and she also understands how to rally her team behind her. When you're looking at teams, she's not necessarily the first person that stands out of, Alicia Clark. She's not necessarily your main shooting option, but she's just a strong overall player. She understands what it takes to win. And I think that is her biggest strength, where she's not necessarily the flashy player, maybe not the household name, but she understands how to win and she understands how to get the players around her in their best positions. Obviously, playing with the aces, she knows what she's doing. I liked Slim when she was on the team too. Obviously, got traded away, but having that kind of main veteran, you see the kid kind of come out in them again, just because the Mystics are such a goofy group. But it's kind of fun seeing the older players in the lead that have been through it a couple of years. Now all of a sudden they're all in all these TikToks doing anime stuff, like things that you would have never seen them do before. But yeah, exactly. Like when Sonia Citron pulled that out, obviously a rookie, but when she pulled that out, and you never really hear Sonia Citron talk that much, you know that they've created such a good atmosphere and culture. But you bring up a good point with Shakira Austin as well. This season, she averaged 12 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. I think this has been one of her best seasons so far. She's obviously dealt with a lot of injury that have set her back, but I mean, she's fantastic size. She's 6'5". She's very dominant in the paint. I think her footwork has improved a lot. I think her shot has improved a lot too. I think she's gotten comfortable being able to stretch the floor a little bit more. She runs the floor really well. She's athletic. So when you have another player like her, as you mentioned, who's only 25 years old, in the middle of the pack, has a couple of seasons of being within the WNBA, you have that veteran where we've talked about with some other teams where she's a veteran, but she's still close enough to get the point across. And then you have some of the veterans like an Alicia Clark, who doesn't seem like she's necessarily like laying down the law. Like she just seems too nice and sweet and like wants to be your friend to do that. But at the same time, you see it through the work that she does. Like, oh, okay, like this is how she gets down. This is how Auntie Alicia gets down. So I'm excited to see them again next year. I think they're going to, if they keep this foundation, they're going to continue to improve each season. And I believe we'll make the playoffs at some point.
Definitely. They were close this past season, I felt like. And when you talk about the future, they have 3 picks in the first round of the 2026 draft. And if they are going to continue this hot streak that they are going back to last year, drafting Kiki, Sonia, and Georgia, then I'm very excited to see the more young talent that they bring in. And this club or this team is going to look really, really good in these next coming years. I wouldn't be surprised if they do crack the playoffs already next season.
Big hopes and big dreams for the Washington Mystics next season. After this, we're going to get into the unrivaled rosters, and there's some big faces that are not making a return.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to fanduel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
The notorious 3v3 league is making a comeback for its second season. Unrivaled to come back in January. They will tip off in Miami. That's where Sophia's from, if nobody knows. January 5th. So we're going to walk you through the roster of players that are actually going to be participating this season. Looks a little bit different from last year, but still a lot of the same faces making a return. Alyssa Thomas, Rakia Jackson, Satu Sabali, Paige Bueckers, Sanaya Rivers, Erica Wheeler, Brianna Stewart. Sorry, bear with me, guys. Lexi Hall, Azura Stevens, Jackie Young, Sonia Citron, Veronica Burton, Kate Martin, Dearica Hamby, Natasha Cloud, Aaliyah Edwards, Kiki Iriafen, Monique Billings, Napheesa Collier, Ray Burrell, Chelsea Gray, Brittany Sykes, and the list goes on. I won't actually read all of these for you, but there are a lot of big names coming back. The breakdown by the WNBA is the Sparks will have 6 players, the Dream and Storm each contributing 5. Fever, Lynx, Mystics, Wings, 4 players will be on the teams. Aces, Mercury, Sun, Valkyries, 3 players, and Liberty, Sky, 2 players. So some new additions are going to be Paige Bueckers, Sonia Citron, going to be for some of these teams this season. Cameron Brink joined Unrivaled last year, but didn't play because of an ACL injury, obviously. But one player or 2 players at least that are maybe a surprise to some is Angel Reese, first off, because she did win the entire thing last year. She will not be making a return for this season, as well as Sabrina Ionescu. She won't be participating in this year. And obviously, DNA is injured this season, so she can't participate. Asia Wilson hasn't participated, neither has Caitlin Clark. But you also start to wonder if players like that were to join Unrivaled, the excitement that there would be around it more than there already is.
Yeah, those are some really heavy hitting names, especially. And I think when you look at players that did Unrivaled last season, like, sorry, like Sabrina Ionescu or Angel Reese, even Jewel Lloyd and Kayla McBride, there are definitely certain intricacies that are going on there. I think for players like Angel, who she did get hurt during the Unrivaled season and miss a couple games. Maybe she's taking that into consideration after missing a good amount of time this past W season. Sabrina Ionescu, she's one to make sure that she develops. Jewel Lloyd, Kayla McBride will be playing with Fenerbahce in this offseason. That's competing in EuroLeague and the Turkish league, but it's definitely some shift in movement in this Unrivaled player list. A lot of new faces, new additions. I think one of the new faces that I'm really excited to see would be Kelsey Plum. She is an outstanding one-on-one player, one of the quickest guards in the league as well. So she's one of those really big names I think will make an impact and make it really exciting to watch. Of course, Paige. Everyone wants to see Paige, so I'm glad that Napheesa Collier and Brianna Stewart, the co-founders, were on that and make sure, hey, we gotta make sure we get Paige. More people, Kelsey Mitchell, she'll be really exciting to watch. Sanaya Rivers, we love her. So they're getting a lot of young talent as well. Veronica Burton, really excited to see what the WNBA's most improved player will do as well. Sonia Citron, Kiki Irfin, so a lot of the Mystics youth who are we just got done talking about will be there. But Dominique Malonga as well was announced Unrivaled. And we had an episode a couple of episodes ago mentioning her situation where she unilaterally terminated her professional player contract with the club Fenerbahce, quote unquote, without any just cause by the club. But she did not need a level of clearance to participate in Unrivaled. So I guess that answers that question, but it's interesting to see that it looks like Dominique Malonga traded playing in Turkey for Miami.
Yes. I'm most curious to see Dominique Malonga in this, particularly because of some of the situations that she has going on with Fenerbahce, but also what her development will look like playing in Unrivaled. She's obviously a player that we know is going to be the face of the league one day. I just have a vision for her that she's going to have, this offseason, maybe not this one, maybe the next one, where, she played a season in the WNBA, showed that she has fantastic talent, but she, needs to improve on some things, definitely needs to get stronger, needs to be a little bit more confident in some of her decision making when it comes to attacking the rim. But then she's going to come back and be like Victor Wembanyama, where nobody can guard her. She's going to be running full court, like dodging people left and right. She's going to dunk on somebody I already know. Like, truthfully, I can see it in my head right now. And I'm scared for everyone else because I know if she continues developing, and especially her strength, once she's got that down, she's swinging elbows left and right. Like, y'all better watch out down low. Elbows are flying. She's attacking the rim. She might pin your stuff on the rim too. Like, I don't know. I know she is going to be absolutely nuts one day. So I'm very curious to see what Unrivaled, how that will benefit her. Not that it wouldn't, but how it will benefit her. Or is this her best decision? Or should she have decided maybe she should go back and be along a player like Kayla McBride and play in Euro League right now to continue her development? I think this will be a really good telltale sign of what was the best decision for her.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see her in Unrivaled. Similar to you, I kept saying the entire W season, I want to dunk. Unrivaled, we better see a dunk. I think we will just because they do play 3-on-3 full court, so there's a lot of room to get out and go. Me personally, if I'm a guard, I'm like, Dom, just like, if you get the rebound, just give it to me real quick, run, and I'll get it right back to you.
Just keep going.
Just transition the entire game. But I think for especially a post player where traditionally in a 5-on-5 format is more difficult to create your shots sometimes because the guards have to feed you. But in a situation like 3-on-3 where you're more so solely responsible for creating your own baskets, I think this will be a really good step forward for her in learning that new skill that we've already seen. So just developing it more and yeah, just getting in that. I think that Unrivaled League does a great job of getting players in great shape. I think we saw it last season with Aaliyah Boston, where it felt like after she played in Unrivaled, then in the W season, she looked like she was in better shape. She was running the floor a lot more and stepping out, able to create off the dribble as opposed to just strictly back to the basket. So I think it'll really be an opportunity for a player like Dom to evolve her game. And because it's Halloween and the theme is spooky season, people better watch out because a Dom that for her height and athleticism and just her raw potential to refine that even more is going to be spooky.
It is. And I'm so glad that you just sealed the deal with this spookiness. It's getting real spooky with the CBA. It's getting spooky because Unrivaled is approaching. But thank you so much for joining us today on Locked On Women's Basketball. We will be back. Monday is going to be an exciting day. Women's college basketball is officially back, and we're going to preview